Kia ora tātou katoa, nau mai hara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, te kore mako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. So she is a super young talent that is on the rise within the sport of bowls. She's already won the Taranaki Women's Bowls Player of the Year in 2023 and the New Zealand Bowls Emerging Player of the Year in the same year. Hailing from the famous Paritūtū Bowling Club, we're very, very honoured to have her on our show here. Welcome, Briar Atkinson.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
Awesome. Hey, choice to have you here, Briar. Really looking forward to our little chat. But before we get started, ko wai koe no he koe, a bit about yourself and where you're from.
Yeah, so I was actually born in Auckland, but I moved down here when I was like 8 months old. Then I kind of grew up and I went to school at Balbrook Primary and then Sacred Heart Girls College. And now I'm studying to be a nurse at WIT in my 3rd year. I started playing bowls 6 years ago because my granddad got me into it. And I've been playing ever since and I loved it. I joined with my mum actually, so it's quite a family sport. Other than that, I don't really have much else that I do. I love hanging out with my family and all of that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Briar. Cool. So you mentioned you started with your granddad. So how did all this come about and what kind of granddad took you to bowls, obviously, and what, you just grew a love for it from there?
Yeah, so it used to be like on Christmas, sometimes we'd go down and play with the family, and obviously all my cousins weren't as interested as what I was, so they'd go across and play tennis at Lipton and stuff. And so I'd stay and play, and then me and Mum would go watch him during the men's open fours and thought I'd give it a crack. And so we joined a business house with my nana, and everyone just was so lovely and friendly out at Lipton Bowling Club, and it just got me hooked on the sport.
Oh, that's great. That's great stuff. So now, normally, obviously, bowls in the past, people will associate it with our grandparents going down to play bowls and whatnot. But there's actually, in recent times, there's actually been a real, it's gained a bit of traction with the young ones. There's quite a few young ones playing the sport now. Is that right?
Yeah. So in Taranaki, there's quite a few young males playing the sport. I'm like the youngest female by a few years, but obviously strive to have more come and join. It's quite a social sport, and a lot of businesses have their functions, end of year functions there as well. It's quite a good social sport, good atmosphere, a few drinks, some music every now and then, which is really good. And I think that attracts a lot of younger people to come to the sport now. It's not so strict with the rules and outfits and clothing as it used to be. In New Zealand, there's lots of young ones, which is quite good that we're moving forward as a country in the sport, which is really good, kind of following in the footsteps of Australia.
That's great. That's great stuff. Good to see the young ones engaging in the sport, giving Nana and Granddad a go run for their money.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, hey, has there been any other sports that you're into, like in your earlier years or in recent times?
Yeah, so I've kind of gone through all the sports growing up. I started with like swimming and used to do that a bit at Balbrook, and then went to hockey and played hockey for Taranaki in like the age divisions, which was really fun. But I kind of picked bowls over hockey because I thought that I could potentially go further in bowls than I did hockey, and apparently I've made the right decision. So that's really cool.
I definitely think you made the right decision there. So you've done very well by the looks of it thus far, only early in your career, but absolutely killing it out there on the bowls green. So what's the game like here locally in Taranaki? Is it pretty strong in Taranaki?
It's kind of a hard question to answer. Obviously, the men's side is actually really, really strong, and the women's side is still strong as well. But I think if there was more youth coming into the women's side, it would really help out the striving forward, as in there's quite everyone seems to be getting a bit older. So, almost time where they'd probably give it up. But it's still a really strong and good environment to work in and learn from and build that talent to be able to strive for better things and go further in the career.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So for those at home that have never played bowls, lawn bowls, how can you sum up? How's the game played? Just a real easy summary on how the game's played and the scoring.
Okay, so you have like you can either be in a team of like 4, 3, 2, or by yourself, and you have 4 different bowls depending on what you're playing. Singles, for example, which is by yourself, you have 4 bowls and your opposition has 4 bowls, and you bowl one at a time, trying to get to the little white ball at the end, and whoever's got the closest shot gets a point, and however many closer to the jack, which is the white ball. It's kind of hard to explain, yeah. So if you say have 2 closer than the other team, then you'll score 2 points and so forward. So that's kind of how it works, and it's just first to win the game after so many ends.
Oh, cool. I might have to give it a go sometime. I haven't played lawn bowls before, but whenever I drive past the Paritūtū Bowling Club, I'm always like, one day I'll get down there. Might chuck the whites on. Hey, so tell us a little bit about 2023 for you. Like, man, you won some pretty amazing awards and some pretty awesome titles and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about that 2023 season.
So 2023, 2024, because it kind of goes over both seasons, was kind of a really good season for me. So I started the year kind of like winning just a few club titles, and I managed to get 5, I believe, in the single year. So 5 centre titles. The club titles went on to the centre titles. So I went from getting my gold star to my gold bar, and I was the fastest person in Taranaki to ever do that. And then went forward and did quite well at the nationals. So I got 2nd in the pairs, 3rd in the singles, and 3rd in the fours. So I did quite well overall, and then top 8 in the mixed pairs. And then I went to Hong Kong and I made last 8 as well in the singles, which was like such a cool experience. And then I managed to get to play in the New Zealand development team, which was quite a great experience, playing against some of the top New Zealand players. And then I won the New Zealand under-21 national singles and went on to win the Emerging Player of the Year.
That's a pretty impressive season right there. So yeah, New Zealand Bowls Emerging Player of the Year is huge, and Taranaki Women's Bowls Player of the Year as well. But you also won the Taranaki Junior Sports
Woman of the Year, yeah.
Yeah, that must have been pretty cool for you as well, eh? Amongst some many awesome young sportswomen in Taranaki.
It was quite cool to see that some of the minor sports could like compete against some of the more major sports in Taranaki, which was quite cool.
That's awesome. So for you now, obviously you're really kind of heading up in that trajectory. You're heading up to stardom and bowls. What does the future look like for Briar Atkinson? What are some of the goals that you've set for the years to come?
So one of my big goals was that I wanted to be capped, which is when you make the New Zealand Open team, which is only a 5-man squad. So that's one of my major goals coming up very shortly, hopefully. And then going further, I'd like to go obviously to the Com Games and play in Worlds and those kind of things, and hopefully one day win a World Championship. That would be really cool.
Awesome. Is New Zealand ranked quite high in bowls? Is there other countries that are pretty good at bowls as well?
Yeah, so I'd say the like top 3 countries is probably like us, Australia, England's quite high, India, and those kind of countries. It's more like Australia is kind of the country that you want to beat in bowls because they're quite good at making sure their players are always coming through, and they've got quite a young squad. So
it's always good to beat Australia, isn't it? The big brothers.
Hey,
so yeah, our rivals. So how can people, if someone wants to go out there and try lawn bowls, how can they get involved with the game?
So if they just Google their closest lawn bowls club, I think you'll find that every lawn bowls club is more than happy to have you and will welcome you in and get you set up and straight away pretty much, which is really cool. Quite a lot of them have a business house thing that you can join just casually, so you're not committed to the club yet, but you can see what it's like, and they'll let you have a bit of a role and teach you a bit about what the sport is, which is really good, and give you a couple of cheaper drinks, which is also ideal. So anything like that, getting in touch with any of the clubs is really helpful.
Great stuff, Briar. Well, Briar, it's been an absolute honour to kōrero with you on the show and to hear of your awe-inspiring journey, which is full of so many accolades in such a short space of time already. So, if that is anything to go by, well, you're definitely on the right track for a bright and prosperous future. So, thanks again for your time. We wish you all the very best with your future tournaments and endeavours. So, everyone in Taranaki is right behind you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ka kite.